Hi and welcome to CBN4's Primetime News Package for today. I am a presenter, Alian Christopher. Here's a look at the headlines for today. Dominica joins the rest of the region in celebrating Vaccination Week. One political party has its say on electoral reform with the next general elections constitutionally due in 2020. And the world powers to settle scores in a peace summit. Stay tuned for these and other stories when CBN4's Primetime News returns.
If you're HIV positive or have an STI, having unprotected sex with multiple partners puts them in grave danger. You'll expose every partner and their present and future partners to HIV or another STI. Use a condom every time you have sex. You can live a productive life even if diagnosed with HIV. Remember, early detection is key to your survival. Be responsible, protect yourself and others. Help stop the spread of HIV and other STIs.
TB estene et ben tout se, moun ki en bonne santé oli wen ka respire se vermin la. Moun ki pa ni bon tempérament kon sa ki ni maladie HIV, alcool, ka fime, ti mamay e grand moun bien sensible pour ces maladies ça là. Moun ki ka tousse ni pou prendre précaution le yo en parmi moun en place publique. Couvre bouche ou le ka estene et tousse. Visitez docteur et ben place santé. Fini tout traitement yo ba ou sa joine guérison et puis maladie TB. En responsabilité ou aider du bout si maladie TB et HIV, protéger corps et les autres.
And welcome back. First up, 5 persons have been injured in a motor vehicular accident on Wednesday night near Gentle Rest Funeral Home in St. Joseph. The 5 persons were taken to the Princess Margaret Hospital. No fatalities have been reported. Information reaching CBN4 News confirms that the vehicle, a Honda HR-V, ran off the road and went downhill into a ravine. CBN4 will continue to monitor the developments of this story as more information becomes available. And the Ministry of Education has chosen Friday, April 27, 2018 as Schools Contribution or Dollar Day in support of the Education Trust Fund. On that day, students are expected to contribute at least $1 to the fund, which will go towards the education of the less fortunate children among us. Schools are strongly urged to participate fully in the exercise. The Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development is most grateful for the continued support of all schools to the Education Trust Fund and wishes all the schools the very best for the future. And the leader of the opposition party, Lennox Linton, declares that Dominica will not have another election without electoral reform. Dominica is constitutionally due for its next general election in 2020. Linton noted that in December of 2014, the Commonwealth Elections Observer Mission concluded that the election in Dominica was not fair.
And I quote the report here, due to the lack of balance and lack of professionalism of the media, the absence of campaign finance regulations, multiple instances of cheating and bribery, including the transportation of electors to the island to vote, and the apparent abuses of incumbency, including a lack of impartiality in the provision of public services.
Linton had previously stated that electoral reform is the most critical need now in the lives of Christian people of good conscience to secure the sustainable, resilient development of Dominica for the benefit of all Dominicans. He went on to say that political parties are not responsible for the conduct of elections. They contest the elections.
That responsibility has been passed in our Constitution to the Independent Electoral Commission. And it is the role and function of that commission to ensure that the systems for election are in place and that the election result is a true, honest reflection of the popular will, the will of the people. It truly and accurately tells us who the people would like to run their affairs for the next 5 years.
The leader of the United Workers' Party was speaking at the need for electoral reform in Dominica at a national consultation held by the Concerned Citizens Movement. And stay tuned, we'll be back with more right after this break.
There are signs everywhere. Pay attention whether you're male or female. Visit your health center to get screened. It's a preliminary test to determine if you are exposed to the HIV virus, an STI, or tuberculosis. Some people who are HIV positive also have tuberculosis. But there's hope. Tuberculosis can be cured. And yes, you can live a full life with HIV. Talk to your doctor. Be responsible. Help stop the spread of TB, HIV. Encourage everyone to get tested.
L'année sim tout partout. Attention si vous êtes homme et bien femme. Visitez place santé pour examiner corps. Ça c'est un nick pour yo ouais si l'année pièce moun au lion qui ni maladie TB et bien maladie sexuelle. En compagnie moun qui ni maladie HIV pe ni TB aussi. Savent qui l'année guérison pour TB. Ou ça vivre en bonne santé même si ou ni maladie HIV. Parlez by docteur ou. Prends responsabilité ou. Aidez du bout si maladie TB et HIV. Ou agir tout moun pour examiner corps yo.
If you're HIV positive or have an STI, having unprotected sex with multiple partners puts them in grave danger. You'll expose every partner and their present and future partners to HIV or another STI. Use a condom every time you have sex. You can live a productive life even if diagnosed with HIV. Remember, early detection is key to your survival. Be responsible, protect yourself and others. Help stop the spread of HIV and other STIs.
And welcome back once again. During the recent reshuffling of cabinet ministers and portfolios, one of the most significant changes which emerged was the marrying of tourism and culture. The Chief Cultural Officer in the Division of Culture, Raymond Lawrence, says he expects mutual benefits and the marriage between the two should bring forth wonderful working relationships.
As far as I can remember, we've always worked closely with the DFC and DDA through the years, in spite of the fact that we were in different ministries. So now that we're in the same ministry, I think that can only augur well for both ministries and for culture in Dominica, because quite apart from tourism per se, that department deals with quite a few cultural festivals and activities that we can provide support to, and of course vice versa.
And that was the Chief Cultural Officer in the Division of Culture, Raymond Lawrence. The Minister for Tourism and Culture is the Honorable Senator Robert Town. And Thomas Later, General Secretary of the Dominica Public Service Union, agrees that there is some issues that may arise with the implementation of a voter's ID card that should be used every 5 years. Later stated in his personal experience, there has been instances where he forgot that a certain card was expired. He also added that cards are likely to be misplaced. According to Later, the card issued should be a card that can also be used for voting.
We have to be very careful when it comes to doing things that will totally eliminate our people living overseas from being involved in our elections. These are the people who provide remittances to us, and many of them are involved in certain things that concerns the development of the country.
Later stressed that Dominicans who live overseas who are told that they cannot participate in elections may not feel the need to contribute to Dominica's recovery or the economy. Later added that such contributions are made only when persons who live overseas continue to consider themselves Dominicans.
I believe the laws that we have, we need to revisit it and to see what are, and I agree with you, Brother John, what are the criteria that we should use to ensure that if somebody lives overseas, they can participate.
The General Secretary further stated that what he believes is totally wrong is bribery. And also in the news, Kent Vital, leader of the Freedom Party, in his address at the national consultation encouraged a greater levels of participatory government beyond the general elections. According to Vital, that statement is centered over the removal of political disagreements over national issues on which political parties would otherwise agree if they were not competing for votes. He noted that another tool that could be used to improve what he referred to as short-term bias in our system could be the use of referendum.
How do we go forward? How do we go forward as we seek to improve our democratic institutions so that they more adequately deliver desired development results? I wish to make the following recommendations. One, that we agree here today to establish a formal grouping consisting of willing participants needed to arrive at an adequate representation across our nation, inclusive of our political parties, but not dominated by political parties, for the purpose of engaging in strong advocacy for the preservation of our liberal democratic institutions, for the enforcement of prevailing electoral laws, and for the implementation of measures to improve our democratic institutions and processes.
Vital highlighted that the group should also seek to act as a protector of our democratic institutions. He also recommended that all political parties sign an agreement to engage in free and fair elections and to fully observe existing electoral laws.
That efforts be made by the Electoral Commission or other appropriate national channels to secure the intervention of the OAS or the Commonwealth Secretariat or other regional or international organizations to draft a proposed timetable for electoral reforms, and pending the reforms that cannot be done ahead of the next general elections, to draft an agreement to be signed by the political parties that intend to contest the next general elections.
The leader of the Dominica Freedom Party also recommended that should the Electoral Commission or other appropriate government members fail to act in good faith and in a timely manner in relation to needed reforms, that opposition parties agree to collaborate to take practical actions to protest political freedom in Dominica. And also in the news, the region of the Americas will celebrate the 16th Vaccination Week in the Americas with a football-soccer theme in honor of the FIFA World Cup 2018 that will take place in June to July 2018. The campaign slogan, "Strengthen your defense, get vax, Vaccine Works uses the idea of strengthening the defense on a soccer football team as a metaphor for strengthening one's defense against vaccine-preventable diseases through vaccination. Every year, as part of the Vaccination Week in the Americas, more than 40 countries and territories in the Americas come together to raise awareness on the importance of immunization and to vaccinate their populations, making a special effort to reach people who may not have regular access to health services. The Ministry of Health and Social Services joins the rest of the region in celebrating Vaccination Week of the Americas 2018.
Dominica has much to celebrate as it relates to the elimination of some vaccine-preventable diseases on our island. Diseases like diphtheria, pertussis and tetanus, measles, mumps, rubella, and polio are diseases of the past thanks to vaccines.
Will be back
Our immunization program has made enormous strides in reducing morbidity and mortality caused by vaccine-preventable diseases, and the national coverage levels for the basic childhood vaccines are generally higher than 95%. Diseases such as polio were eradicated in 1991. Endemic measles transmission was interrupted in 2002, and rubella circulation was also interrupted in 2009. Despite these gains and the high coverage levels achieved, gaps in vaccination still exist. Although historically there has been a positive culture surrounding vaccination in Dominica, declining coverage in some parts of the country has been linked to the unwillingness or hesitancy of a few persons to be vaccinated for various reasons. This was worsened in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria, when the country lost all the vaccines which were in stock. Consequently, there was a decline in the coverage since there were no vaccines available on island. However, the Ministry of Health and Social Services, with the assistance of PAHO, has replaced the vaccines lost, and the children have begun receiving the required doses of vaccines.
Wyke further noted that the fact that immunization made many infectious diseases rare or almost unheard of can lead parents and health professionals to think that immunization is no longer necessary. However, when vaccine coverage is not maintained at high levels, previously controlled diseases can make a dramatic comeback.
It was only earlier this year that one of our sister islands had an imported case of measles, which could have been made worse if vaccine coverage was not maintained at extremely high levels. This is why it is critical to continue vaccinating even in the absence of disease, and continue educating the public regarding the importance of this preventative health measure.
As part of the activities to celebrate Vaccination Week in the Americas, the Ministry of Health and Social Services are conducting immunization mop-up activities in order to immunize the children who may not have gotten their required doses. The Dominica Football Association have been invited to participate in the activities and join the vaccination team as public health champions. And with that, we've come to the end of today's primetime news package. On behalf of the entire CBN4 team, I am Arlen Christopher saying thank you, and do join us again next time.